Soundings Audiobooks presents an unabridged recording of Music in the Hills, written by D.E. Stevenson, read by Lesley Mackie. The moral right of the author has been asserted. This performance is owned by Soundings, Whitley Bay, NE 262JT. Chapter 1. Spring had come to the valley. The house of Mureth lay sleeping in its sheltered nook like an old grey tabby. There were trees round the house, fine old beeches and a few gnarled oaks, their branches tipped with buds, so that from afar they seemed to be shrouded in a pale green mist. The little burn, leaping down the hillside, dawdled through the garden, and then quickened its pace and threw itself with glad abandon into the river below. It was like a child at play, who suddenly catches sight of his mother and runs to her arms. Such a happy, laughing child was Mureth Burn, and useful too, for the old house was supplied with its clear water and lighted by its power, and the garden was made fruitful and pleasant by its wanderings. Birds came to bathe and to drink, alighting upon a convenient stone and preening their feathers. They came at all times of the year, for even in winter, when the ground was hard as iron, Mureth Burn still ran. Jock Johnstone, who had lived at Mureth all his life, could not remember a winter when the burn was completely frozen. The spring was slightly warm, where it bubbled out of the hillside high above the house, and it had no time to freeze before it reached the river. Jock Johnstone had been born in Mureth House. So had his father and grandfather. It was a pity he had no children to carry on the tradition, to run about the old place and waken it to life with noise and laughter. But in other ways he was fortunate and knew it. For one thing, he had Mamie, and no man had a wife that suited him better. For another, he had health and strength. His 50 years sat very lightly upon him. And for a third, he had one of the most prosperous farms in the country. Hills and moors for his sheep, lush meadows by the river for his cows, a fine steading with barns and byres, and last but not least, 6 neat cottages for his men. Jock Johnstone was fortunate, but his circumstances were not entirely due to luck. For although he had inherited good property, he had improved it by his own efforts. He had drained the low-lying holms and built fine new byres, and he had renovated the old...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?